The Disney lawsuits have become very well known. Whether we're talking about the shareholder lawsuit in California, whether we're talking about labor disputes, or we're talking about the potential legal battle with Comcast over Hulu, which can be massive, costing Disney billions of dollars. And most famously, perhaps the biggest has been what I've been covering, which is this legal battle with Ron DeSantis. But as I've been going deep on the motions and going day to day with that, I don't want to let us get so distracted by the lawsuit that we go down this rabbit hole of thinking that the lawsuit is the worst thing that ever happened to Disney. In fact, look, it would benefit me as a streamer, as a person who's a lawyer, been covering the lawsuit, to say the lawsuit is the end of the world. But I'm actually honest and here to say that the lawsuits are actually a distraction from the bigger issue. The bigger issue are the financial failures of Disney, and they're not just things that happened in the past, they're things that are continually happening and continually bringing that company down towards the gutter and down towards becoming a zombie corporation, if not a absolutely bankrupt corporation. So we're going to get into that today. As always, I'm Andrew Esquire, a Florida attorney who specialized in special district law for nearly a decade, also served as inside counsel, general counsel, inside a very large American corporation. So I get both the perspective from the property side, talking about the Reedy Creek lawsuit, as well as inside of corporations, knowing what's going on in these woke abominations, such as Disney. And of course, this is a legal mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. So today, what I really wanted to get into was, yes, we're going to talk about the losses. We're going to talk about the potential financial liability there. But I want to get on top of what's really important, because I've said this once, but I want to say it again. Disney is using the lawsuits, is using, First Amendment and other claims, particularly regarding Ron DeSantis, as chafe, as distraction from their financial woes. And I don't want people to lose sight of the big picture. The big picture is that they are failing to deliver in the box office and at the parks. And because of those failures, they've continued to slide down and down and down. But as they slide, they're going to point more to the lawsuits and more towards that, the media, including, by the way, the shill media, Disney social media, the pixie dusters, the allies, the Democrats, the leftists, they're all going to come out and point to Ron DeSantis bad and try to point that as the problem for all of Disney's financial failures. Of course, that would be idiotic to try to blame the governor of one state for the failures of a international corporation that is marketing all over the world. That is, of course, ridiculous and preposterous. But of course, we know about that. And what shocked me is that it seems like even the leftist media, even the controlled mainstream media, is realizing this. And I actually found this article. Now, this article is from a couple months ago, so it's a little not outdated, but I'm going to have to update some of the information. So please bear with me on that. But I was shocked to find that CNN, known controlled media here, just came out and said straight up, Disney has bigger problems than Ron DeSantis. So that headline to me was really shocking, that they're even admitting that, hey, Ron DeSantis is the least of their problems. So let me read through this, and I'm gonna skim it a little bit, but I want to highlight some of the issues that pop out as really prominent in 2023 as we're going into this, towards the summer here, where they really should have blowout profits. And it's looking like, especially for the past 6 weeks in the parks, they're having record low attendance, so record issues. So let's read through here. So Disney has found itself in the middle of a culture war battle that could end up transferring Disney's governance to a board appointed by Ron DeSantis. Well, that's already happened. So this article, I think, was written a little bit before that transition. This has already happened. So, and people have certainly taken culture war positions on this. And now, particularly as DeSantis has declared his presidential run, they've taken sides both on the left and within the right itself. So you have people who are pro and anti-DeSantis taking different tacks on this. In fact, some people that are anti-DeSantis are sounding like triggered leftists because they are relying on their feelings and not so much on the facts of the matter regarding the legal fight in Florida. However, as even the leftists agree, Disney is facing turmoil in plunging subscriptions, like recovering box offices, which frankly have been tanking and tanking and tanking. We're seeing The Little Mermaid, just another fail. I covered in my recent timeline video all of the previous major fails of Disney, you've got Strange World, Lightyear, Turning Red, Mulan. These are just a couple failures. And people have mentioned, I didn't even get into the streaming failures. You're right. There's so many. It's hard to cover all the failures of Disney. You guys are absolutely right. And that is one of the biggest things that, frankly, not enough people are talking about. Not enough people are talking about, wait a second, you're having to subsidize this? Where's this money coming from? It's coming from the parks. Well, then what are you doing with the parks? How are you enhancing that experience? How are you reinvesting there? Are you just literally taking from your only profitable segment to undergird your losers? Well, that's a big issue. That's a massive issue. First of all, those are supposed to be two separate segments, which, by the way, is what the lawsuit, the shareholder lawsuit against Chapek is about, is that Disney is taking from Peter, i.e. the parks, to pay Paul, i.e. the streaming and entertainment, because that's the area where they're coming up short. Big issues there. Now, this puts it back on Iger. So Iger is now fully in control. He's been in control since November of last year. So he can no longer blame everything on Chapek. That, of course, was what they were doing in the beginning. And listen, I don't care whether you like Chapek or hate Chapek. I know there's a big split in people who kind of swear off each other because they thought Chapek was the savior or not. I don't really care. It doesn't matter. He's gone. It's irrelevant what you think he was. He's absolutely out. The only relevance he has is the relevance he's going to have when he's deposed as part of lawsuits. That's going to be Chapek's relevance. Otherwise, he's got the golden handcuffs on. He's retired with a bunch of money. It doesn't matter what he is anymore, or whether he's missed or not missed. Really irrelevant. So Disney's earnings are expected to fall nearly 30% from a year ago, despite higher revenue. And we've seen them falling rapidly year over year. And Avatar: Way of Water, which goes 400 million in ticket sales at the end of this year, is on the way to 2.1. But the financial results might be the least interesting part of the call. So we saw on these calls, which have happened, that they've noticed that they're dropping in subscribers faster than ever. So this is one of the biggest issues, is that Disney, in terms of their subscribers, particularly on their streaming platforms, has been falling rapidly. And that's what's pointed out here, streaming and Disney Plus. So Disney previously in November had better than expected subscriber growth, but we know that subsequent to even this article, streaming has been a major point of failure. They were predicted to gain 1 million, 1.5 million subscribers, and they ended up losing 4.1 million. This led to a massive stock drop, amongst other things. And this is going to continue to be something that I believe is going to tank as people turn away from their content, particularly as we enter into Pride Month, which I wish was proud to be an American, but no, we know what it means. And by the way, I would like to say I'm actually filming this on the anniversary of the Battle of Midway. So I'd like to give a special shout out to those veterans out there that are veterans, whether you're veterans of a current war or whether you're somebody who served in the long past. Your service is deeply appreciated. And also something else is appreciated, guys, as it's the midpoint in this video. If you haven't subscribed, please, I hope I have earned that subscription. And if not, please smash the like button, make sure your notifications are on so you get these videos as they come out. So like they said, they're trying to achieve profitability for Disney in fiscal year 2024. That's their goal. They want profitability by next year. I don't think that's happening. I really don't think these services are going to be able to pay for themselves. I think they're going to continue into 2024 as being loss leaders, as being things that are still costing the company money. Also, they've talked about spinning off ESPN. That would absolutely be huge. And of course, this would be a way to try to reduce costs here, because as you see, ESPN there's a decline in cable subscriptions, and ESPN gets more fees per cable company from cable operators than any other group of networks, making it particularly vulnerable to a loss of cable subscribers. So spinning off a vulnerable unit would be interesting, but at the same time, that's been something they've been marketing. That's something they've been pushing for a long time. So breaking off that segment, which they've gone so far to integrating, is going to really run counter to the business plan they've been going with for a while. So, and they said, look, there's problems spinning off ESPN, even if it would raise cash and allow Disney to trim debt, because there's little appetite in the market for a standalone ESPN. So people might just not be willing to go in and spend money on a standalone ESPN. Also, they have labor issues, and this is a huge thing. Look, their labor force, which they're trying to move or tried to move from California to Florida, pretty much rebelled. They pretty much said, no, we want our protections in California. We want those California union prices. We want those California rates. We're not going to have our pay docked. We're not going to go into a state where we have less favorable laws. We're going to stay over here where it's beneficial. And look, from their perspective of the worker, I mean, yeah, sure, except for the fact they're going to be let off, and many of them were let off after they refused to move from California to Florida. And of course, yes, Disney did announce that they cut back on their Lake Nona campus, but those were jobs they were probably letting off anyways, regardless of their pullout of that campus, which, by the way, as I'll remind you, was 2/3 taxpayer subsidy funded. So let's say here, the company and a group of 6 unions representing 32,000 unions members are due to return to the negotiating table, and there's been no strike deadline set. And we're still seeing that the strikes, that the writers' rebellions, these things are hurting many companies, but Disney cannot afford this. They're at a point in which they can't afford to be embroiled in losing over streaming, losing in the box office, losing in the parks because nobody's showing up, and then having legal battles on top of that, and then fighting labor. You see all these things kind of coming together. This is why I say, guys, law and business is often something that needs to be combined, because these fights, these litigation fights, are absolutely 100%, in Disney's case, to cover for all of these elements where they're failing, just across the board where they have manifest issues. And in other corporations, even one of these would be a major issue. But Disney has all of them, which is just shocking to me, the power of pixie dust and how people can continually deny that there's any issues in the House of Mouse. And last, of course, they mentioned the political battles. And this is something that, of course, is still going on over Reedy Creek, is still going on with 2 lawsuits now. We have both a federal lawsuit and we have a state lawsuit. And both of those lawsuits, guys, both those lawsuits are still ongoing. The federal lawsuit has just been assigned to Judge Alan Windsor. That I expect in the very near future to either be stayed or to be partially either dismissed without prejudice so they can refile it, kind of stayed until the state case proceeds, or they'll proceed on the very one limited last cause of action. In fact, their weakest cause of action regarding the last First Amendment claim, which I actually predict they'll probably lose under. So they'll probably get blown out on that one, which would be embarrassing for them. If they just proceed on that last claim, go through, get blown out, I think that'd be horrible in terms of press for Disney, because they've already had their pro-Disney judge step out. He recused himself in a cowardly manner. So they probably would not want to look bad on top of that, having that one claim go forward and just getting blown out. Mind you, the residents of Florida tried a similar claim under the First Amendment and due process and got blown out within 6 days by a motion to dismiss back last year. So I do not expect Disney to have a better chance on these claims. That being said, guys, that's my basic take on the financial failures. Don't ever forget that Disney is not just failing in one area. They're failing in many different areas. As we focus on legal issues on this channel, I'm also going to continue to work with people like WW Pro, Valiant Renegade, my good friend Valiant Renegade, his good friend Mexican Iron Man, and these guys on the financial side, so we can get a more complete picture of all of the woes for Disney. Guys, once again, like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you later. Peace.